Okay, let's unpack this. We all know that struggle, right? Getting kids to brush their teeth.
Oh, definitely. Or just getting them to the dentist.
Exactly. Sometimes it feels like the scariest thing on earth for them. But, uh, have you ever really thought about how something like a cavity could actually be a big reason kids miss school?
It's a connection that's often overlooked, I think.
Yeah, it's huge. So today we're diving deep into some really groundbreaking new research. It's from the NYU College of Dentistry, all about preventing cavities in kids.
Mm-hmm.
This research, it was just published in JAMA Network Open, and it looks at these non-invasive dental treatments they're doing, like right in the schools.
Which is pretty innovative.
Totally. So get ready for some surprising stuff that might really change how you think about kids' smiles and, their time in the classroom. Our mission here is to figure out how these simple school-based things are shaking up kids' dental care.
What these treatments actually are.
Right, and what the long-term impact could be for you, for your family.
What's so fascinating here is that this isn't just a dental issue. It really becomes an educational thing, a public health challenge.
How so? Expand on that a bit.
Well, tooth decay is way more than just a toothache. The numbers are pretty staggering. Kids in the U.S. miss something like 34 million hours of school every year.
34 million hours?
Yeah. Because of emergency dental problems. That's a massive disruption to their learning, their development.
Wow. And all from something that's largely preventable.
Exactly. Which brings us back to the access issue.
Right. That number, 34 million hours, it just screams access problem, doesn't it? How do the school programs tackle that specifically?
Well, that's the critical point. Think about traditional dental care. A kid often has to be pulled out of school.
And a parent has to take time off work, which isn't always easy.
Precisely. Big barriers for lots of families.
Mm-hmm.
So school-based programs, they just cut through all that. They meet the kids where they already are.
Makes sense.
And it's not just about prevention, like maybe putting on sealants, which some school programs do. These approaches actually tackle existing cavities right there in the school.
I remember the dentist's office as a kid. It felt like this huge, kind of intimidating event.
Yeah, the drills, the sounds.
Totally. So the idea of getting treatment right in school, where kids are, generally more comfortable, it just seems so logical. Makes you wonder why it wasn't always like this.
Well, the methods we're talking about are relatively newer in widespread application, especially in schools.
Okay, right. And this is where it gets really interesting. Like you said, we're talking simple, non-surgical options. Imagine the difference that makes for a kid who's really anxious about the dentist.
Oh, it's huge.
So first, there's this thing called ART, Atraumatic restorative treatment.
Atraumatic is the key word there.
Exactly. It's non-invasive. Health pros use hand tools, no drills, to gently remove the decay.
Just clear out the soft, decayed part.
Yeah, and then they put on a protective material. It's kind of like a sealant, right there in the school. No needles, no drills. That's life-changing for some kids.
Absolutely. And then the other method is SDF, silver diamine fluoride.
SDF. Okay, what's that?
So this one's even simpler in a way. It's a liquid. They just brush it onto the teeth.
Brush it on.
Yep. And it does two key things. One, it kills the bacteria causing the decay.
Okay, stops it in its tracks.
Right. And two, it helps remineralize the tooth, makes it stronger, prevents more decay. It's actually interesting. The FDA originally approved it for treating tooth sensitivity, so it's quite versatile.
Wow. So simple, but sounds really effective.
That's the power of these approaches, simplicity and effectiveness.
So NYU College of Dentistry really put these to the test, big time, with this program called Carried Away.
That's right, a major clinical trial.
Tell us about that. What did this big study actually involve? What makes it, stand out beyond just the initial good results they saw?
Okay, so it was a large trial set in New York City elementary schools. Health teams went into the schools twice a year.
Twice a year. Got it.
They'd examine the kids' teeth, and if they found cavities, they'd apply either ART or SDF plus a fluoride varnish.
And how did they decide which kids got which treatment?
That was random,
Yeah.
based on the school. So some schools got ART, others got SDF. That let them compare the two directly, in a real-world school setting.
Smart. And they already had some earlier results, right?
They did. An earlier analysis showed that even a single treatment of ART or SDF stopped about 50% of cavities from getting worse over 2 years.
Okay, 50% over 2 years. That's already pretty good. Not bad at all.
Definitely promising.
But this new analysis, the one in JAMA Network Open that we're digging into, this sounds like it goes further, longer time frame.
Exactly. This new look builds significantly on that initial finding. They focused on over 1,600 kids, aged about 5 to 13. All of them had existing cavities.
Okay.
And get this, they treated over 10,000 cavities across these kids.
10,000. That's a huge sample size of actual cavities.
Massive. And the really crucial part, they follow these kids for up to 4 years.
4 years. Wow, that's serious long-term data.
It really is. As the lead investigator, Dr. Ryan Richard Ruff, pointed out, these long-term results are incredibly robust. They show a sustained impact years down the line.
Okay, so the 4-year follow-up. What did it show? How did RT and SDF stack up against each other in the long run?
The results were, well, remarkably good for both, and quite similar. SDF managed to keep 62% of the decayed surfaces from getting worse over those 4 years.
62%. Okay, and ART?
RT controlled 55% over the same 4 years.
55%. So both are clearly working really well long term.
Exactly. The main takeaway is that both methods showed high effectiveness. They successfully stopped or significantly slowed down tooth decay for years, and they did it right there in the school.
So what does this all mean then for families, for schools? This feels like more than just, here are some new tools.
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like it's shifting how we should even think about tackling this sort of silent health crisis impacting kids' education.
It's a paradigm shift, really.
Yeah, because for so long, the default was, wait until it hurts, then go to a clinic, often facing drills and needles.
Right. Reactive and often invasive.
But this study basically says, hey, what if we could prevent, or at least pause and protect, right where the kids are, without the fear?
That's the potential.
That feels like the real game changer here. It impacts not just their teeth, but maybe their whole experience with healthcare, their school attendance.
Less painless anxiety.
And more kids actually in the classroom learning. That's like a win-win-win. Health, happiness, education.
Precisely. And Dr. Tamarinda Berry-Godin, who directed the Carried Away project at NYU, she summed it up perfectly. She said, offering ART or SDF in schools can help avoid the need for more invasive dental treatment and improve access to preventive care.
Avoid invasive treatment and improve access. That's huge.
It changes the whole landscape, not just for teeth, but for kids' overall well-being and, like we talked about, their school performance. Imagine scaling this up across communities.
The potential impact is enormous.
And, this really raises a bigger question for me.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, if we can make such a profound difference with just, like, a brush or a simple hand tool in the school setting, where else are we missing opportunities?
Interesting. Like what other health issues?
Exactly. What other simple, impactful health solutions could we be deploying in schools or communities to tackle other major public health challenges? Things that don't require massive infrastructure.
That really does broaden the conversation, doesn't it? It makes you think. If these straightforward on-site methods work so well for dental health, maybe there are similar approaches for, I don't know, vision screening, nutrition support, mental wellness checks?
Perhaps. It challenges us to look for those elegant, simple solutions.
Yeah, the ones that sometimes get overlooked because they seem simple, but could have these massive societal impacts. And, just being informed about studies like this one, it really empowers you, the listener, to understand how health and community care are evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing what's possible helps shape the future.